Now at 6 and streaming on crossroadstoday.com, more than 50 Texas Democrats are missing from the House, with Governor Abbott stepping up pressure to get them back in Austin.
A Port Lavaca man turns himself in and faces several charges after a recent shooting.
And a major state honor is going to the county seat of Lavaca County.
And of course, we had that big line of storms that rolled through the area, gave us about a quarter to a half an inch of rain. How about tonight and how about tomorrow? Well, we'll be talking about that coming up in a moment.
And today kicked off the first day of football 2-a-day action across here, the Crossroads. We're going to talk about two top 3A programs later on in sports.
You're watching 25 News now at 6. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Shawna Currie.
And I'm Brubaker. Texas Democrats stalled a Republican-backed push to redraw the state's congressional map today, and one that could boost GOP chances in the 2026 midterms. More than 50 Democrats left state, preventing the House from having enough members to vote. In response, Governor Greg Abbott ordered state troopers to track them down. The Texas House then voted 85-6 to issue civil arrest warrants for the missing lawmakers. House Speaker Dustin Burrows says those warrants will be signed immediately.
Victoria airport officials say parked cars are delaying the start of construction work. The airport director shared the urgent need for the owners to remove their parked vehicles at this morning's Victoria County Commissioners Court meeting, saying there are about 10 to 15 vehicles parked in the airport parking lot. The airport will be temporarily closing the runway through September 4th for construction, so there are no commercial flights available in or out of the Victoria Regional Airport. Thus, there should not be any vehicles there until after the construction is complete.
A third person faces charges after a shooting in Port Lavaca. Authorities tell us 18-year-old Zayden Trevino turned himself in to Calhoun County deputies. The shooting reportedly happened at a convenience store on State Highway 35 on July 15th. Trevino faces charges of evading arrest and detention, deadly conduct, discharge of a firearm, and engaging in organized criminal activity with use or exhibit of a deadly weapon. He is in the Calhoun County Jail in lieu of $5,000 bond. Victoria College's Board of Trustees proposed a property tax increase during a special meeting this afternoon. The VC board proposes a property tax rate of $18.32 per $100 of taxable value. The current rate for VC is $17.09 per $100 of valuation. The board will host a public hearing on the proposed tax rate during a special meeting on Monday, August 11th. That's next Monday in room 101 of the academic building at VC's main campus at 2200 East Red River Street. After the public hearing, the board will vote to adopt a 2025-26 tax rate and operating budget.
Gusty winds ahead of a line of thunderstorms caused power outages and brought down numerous tree limbs throughout the area. The winds were estimated to be gusting over 40 miles per hour. This is video of a neighborhood near the intersection of Ben Jordan and Sam Houston. The same winds also caused power outages in parts of Victoria and Calhoun counties. As of 5:30 today, there were still more than 100 customers without electricity in each county.
Yes, indeed, a storm hit the Crossroads this afternoon. A little rain, a lot of wind.
Yeah, the rain was nice, though. It was a nice little relief. We hadn't seen some in a while, but let's go to Chief Meteorologist Mac Perez to find out what we're looking ahead to. Mac?
Yes, it was. And you know what? The temperature dropped, I believe, 25 degrees within about an hour as the north winds blew in. That line of storms actually began way up here in Oklahoma last night at 10 o'clock. It was up there already. It formed, it developed, came all the way down through the I-10 corridor and then right through the area. We got a good rain out of it. You know, I'm glad for the rain. I'm glad for the clouds and the cooler temperatures. But tomorrow, it's not going to be like that, but we will see a few more showers. Nothing as severe as that one that came through this morning. We'll talk more about it coming up in just a moment. Back to you.
The peak of the 2025 Atlantic hurricane season has arrived. August through the middle of September is usually the most severe time for cyclones. So far, things have been relatively tame. The Atlantic has not seen a hurricane yet this year. Tropical storm Dexter debuted Sunday night, but it's expected to stay over water and not impact land. Forecasters say they see signs the atmosphere is starting to become more supportive of tropical development. Several tropical waves could organize over the next few weeks. Illegal dumping is a growing problem in Victoria. It's also a crime. Recently, a mattress was dumped near Ash Street and North Laurent, and we also found a couch that was dumped near North Azalea Street. Residents should report dumping through the Victoria TX 311 app, which sends details to the proper city department. Penalties for illegal dumping range from misdemeanors to felonies, depending on the dumped material. City leaders urge quick reporting in order to keep Victoria clean and safe. So for our viewer poll tonight, we're asking, what do you think is the best way to address illegal dumping in Victoria? Increased fines, more security cameras, community cleanup programs, or public awareness campaigns? Pretty close to the same as our 5 o'clock newscast, but 61% feel increased fines would deter illegal dumping, 29% following that with more security cameras. But go to crossroadstoday.com/vote to let us know what you think.
Texas Senator John Cornyn gets a big endorsement in his re-election campaign. Former Texas Governor Rick Perry endorsed Cornyn today. Perry said in a statement, Senator Cornyn spent his career defending our core values and earned a reputation for steady leadership. Perry said during the time President Trump has been in office, Senator Cornyn has voted 99.2% of the time with President Trump. Perry said he's been fed up with Washington in the past too, but not lately and never with Cornyn.
The Victoria City Council is officially kicking off next year's budget process. At tomorrow night's meeting, they will take a look at the proposed tax rate, set dates for public hearings on the budget, and schedule when to vote on adopting the new rate for the upcoming fiscal year. Also on the agenda, a public hearing on whether to put a collective bargaining item for the Victoria Fire Department on the November ballot.
Governor Greg Abbott announced the city of Hallettsville is designated as a tourism-friendly Texas certified community by Travel Texas. This came after Hallettsville completed the multi-step certification process. State officials said Hallettsville's deep roots and cultural traditions offer visitors a real taste of small-town Texas. The tourism-friendly Texas community program is open to local governments or nonprofit organizations that serve as the lead entities for tourism promotion and development efforts.
As lawmakers continue to debate banning hemp-derived THC, some rural Texans say it helps ease addiction, health concerns, and economic woes that hit their communities the hardest. To read the full Texas Tribune article, go to crossroadstoday.com. And remember to subscribe to our Crossroads Today YouTube channel, hit the like button, and click the notification bell. Stay with us. Coming up on 25 News Now at 6, Tesla stockholders give very good news to the head of the company.
Also ahead, a growing issue for passengers on major air flights.
Tesla's board awards CEO Elon Musk a pay package worth about $29 billion. Musk is not paid a cash salary or bonus for his work as head of the electric vehicle maker. Instead, Musk makes his money through stock options that allow him to purchase Tesla shares for a fraction of their market price. Musk is Tesla's largest individual shareholder, owning about 13% of the company. His pay package would give Musk 96 million shares of Tesla, each of which trades at just over $300. A massive manhunt for a suspected gunman now in its fourth day in Montana. 45-year-old Michael Paul Brown is suspected of gunning down 4 people at a western Montana bar.
The Montana Attorney General says the state is working with federal officials to do everything in their power to capture Brown. ABC's Melissa Don has the latest.
An urgent manhunt is underway for Michael Paul Brown, the man police say killed 4 people in a Montana bar. About 250 law enforcement officers, both on the ground and in the air, are searching western Montana for the suspected gunman.
We have an individual who decided to enter a business at a little after 10:30 in the morning, and after a brief exchange, cold-bloodedly murdered 4 people in that bar.
Officials releasing this new photo they say is the suspect seen shirtless making his escape after he gunned down 4 people at the Owl Bar in the town of Anaconda Friday morning. The victims identified as 64-year-old Nancy Kelly, a bartender at the Owl Bar, and 3 patrons, 59-year-old Daniel Bailey, 70-year-old David Leach, and 64-year-old Tony Palm. These helicopters seen circling Anaconda's Garrity Mountain. The Montana Attorney General says Brown used a rifle in the shooting.
We believe he's on foot somewhere in the mountains, in the deep cover in the area. But we've got assets in the air. We're looking for him with infrared.
ABC News learning Brown is an Army veteran who served in Iraq, later joining the Montana National Guard for almost 3 years until 2009. The Montana Attorney General telling us the suspect is known to law enforcement with a drug history.
This is an individual who knows the area very well. He knows the terrain, he knows the country. Could be under the influence of drugs still, or might not.
Authorities say he lived next door to the Owl Bar. Investigators believe the suspect had time to change, take a car before he disappeared into the woods.
Police say they continue investigating a motive behind the shootings. Now there is a $7,500 reward as the U.S. Marshals, FBI, and ATF assist Montana officials with this manhunt. Melissa Adon, ABC News, Los Angeles.
Some visitors to the U.S. may soon have to post a bond of up to $15,000 before they are granted a visa to visit the country. The State Department said today it would begin a 12-month trial of visa bonds starting in 15 days. The pilot program will require some visa applicants to post a bond of up to $15,000 to get a business or tourist visa to the U.S. and will require applicants to travel through certain U.S. airports. Those airports have not been announced.
President Trump's domestic agenda would add more than $4 trillion to the federal debt over the next decade when interest costs are factored in. A Congressional Budget Office analysis shows that even though the legislation includes sweeping tax cuts, those savings are outweighed by the cost. The increased borrowing will add nearly $720 million in interest. The bill balloons the deficit by $3.4 trillion by 2034. The CBO also analyzed making Trump's tax breaks permanent could push the total debt impact to $5 trillion.
Turbulence is one of the most common airline accident types today. The National Transportation Safety Board reports just last week over 20 people were sent to hospitals after a Delta flight was slammed with severe, unexpected, rough air.
And in June, an American Airlines flight faced a similar issue. Michael Yoshida has more on the rise of this trouble in the skies and how new technology could help make for smoother flights.
25 people taken to hospitals after a Delta flight experienced severe turbulence, causing service carts and unbelted passengers to hit the ceiling and forcing an emergency landing.
Today, there is 41% more severe clear air turbulence in the skies over the USA, 55% more over the North Atlantic.
Atmospheric science professor Paul Williams says Earth's warming temperatures are making flying conditions worse. That's especially true along busy flight paths, which are near powerful winds in the upper atmosphere called jet streams.
Climate change is warming the air to the south of the jet stream a lot more rapidly than the air to the north of the jet stream.
Williams says the clashing of increasingly warmer and cooler air is causing more frequent and more severe clear air turbulence, which can't be seen on radar and isn't connected to other visual cues like storms or clouds, meaning it can seemingly hit out of nowhere.
A stronger jet stream has what we call more wind shear in it. That's the wind speed increasing with altitude, and more wind shear equals more turbulence. So that's the link from temperatures to the jet stream, to the winds, to the turbulence.
According to the National Transportation Safety Board, between 2009 and 2018, flight crews had no warning in about 28% of turbulence-related accidents. Williams, who has studied the topic for more than a decade, says the numbers will keep going up. Still, he and others say flying won't be any less safe, and new technologies could help, from better forecasting models to even artificial intelligence.
They can identify patterns that are complex in very high-dimensional data, like what you find in turbulence.
In Washington, Michael Yoshida reporting.
The price of groceries is still stressing out most Americans. A new AP poll finds the majority of U.S. adults worry about grocery costs. More than 3/4 of people saying grocery prices are a source of stress. Prices continuing to rise and looming Trump tariff threats were most often cited as reasons for concern. Groceries were the main topic that people of all ages said was stressing them out.
I can imagine 3 little bags, $100. Wow, that was amazing. Anyway, folks, it's 87 degrees right now, but it was a nice break there in the afternoon as the temperature dropped about 25 degrees because of the showers that came in. 91 was the official high, and that was before noontime. And then the rain came in, and we got 3,500s officially out at the airport. We'll get the totals around the area as soon as they come in tonight. Otherwise, what about tomorrow? Any more of this shower activity? We'll be talking about that after this. Well, that line of storms that came through the area actually began up in Oklahoma last night. It became its own little weather system. It's called a mesoscale convective system, and it sort of starts generating itself as the warm air goes up, the cold air comes down. You can see how the line began way up here in North Texas and came in and kept going and going and going, and then right through Victoria right there about lunchtime, and then it's all fallen apart now. So that line by itself is no longer an issue. In fact, what we get tomorrow will be more of the garden variety sea breeze activity that pops in the afternoon hours. We saw some of that over the weekend, and so let's say it was rain, it was a weather system, but you still got wet, so it all depends on how you look at it. The frontal system that is draped across the central part of the state sort of helped to trigger that activity, or at least keep it going, and you can see how that front is pushed all the way down here. The heat wave they had back east is finally over with. Now the heat wave moves to the southwest, where places that are normally hot are going to be even hotter than normal. Tucson's record for August is 112, and they're looking to get to 112. Here's the Dallas area, and once we're going to re-loop this, and you can see that big line of storms coming down, almost probably about 500 miles wide was the line that came through, and so it moved right on through the area, but look at where it fell. Very interesting. All this in blue is probably over a half an inch to an inch, right down through Hallettsville, right down to Victoria, and then it fell apart. Corpus Christi didn't see anywhere near as much rain as we saw, so what we got was good. I know there's some trees that fell down and all that, but it was a good addition. look at it this way, it would have been 99 had we not had that rain. A little heavier activity up in Fordham and toward the Cuero area, and even Yoakum probably saw over an inch of rain. Tonight we have one little county there and one little county there that has still some stormy weather. Otherwise, things are settling down with regard to that system. As I mentioned here, the frontal system is causing flooding rains in southern Georgia, and here we've got extreme heat advisories for the Valley of the Sun that is going to be at record highs this week. So our heat index tomorrow, because of all the moisture in the air and the high temperature, is going to be fairly high. So we'll be wearing the air tomorrow. But as you see all week long, there's not a whole lot of relief in sight. All of a sudden, the Atlantic is getting busy. Yes, we have one system here that has a good chance within the next 5 days of developing. At this point in time, I'm going to say it pretty much is going to stay in the Atlantic. Anything other than that would be unusual, and we'll certainly talk about it. We also had a system, Dexter, that developed over the weekend, but as you can see, that's going away from land, so no problem as far as we're concerned. The Pacific is busy, and this one is going to be very close to the west coast of Mexico, so I'm sure they'll be watching it carefully. So for tomorrow, we're looking for partly cloudy skies and a few afternoon showers rolling around the area, getting up to about a 91 in the Port Lavaca area. In Cuero, a tight bit warmer there, getting up to about 93, but if you catch the little afternoon shower, that'll be one way to cool down. Otherwise, your 7-day showers tomorrow in the afternoon, then decreasing, and then plain old sunny and hot as we get into the balance of the week. That's your 7-day forecast, reminding everybody we do have a QR code. Love for you to scan that, put Crossroads Today on your phone, and we'll toss it back to Shawna.
All right, thank you, Mac. Now we send it over to Max for sports and a little delayed celebration that we had.
Yeah, a little bit delayed from there yesterday, right, Shawna, but it's still well worth it right there for the Ganado Minions as they celebrated their first ever state championship there for softball with the parade through downtown yesterday. So great experience for everyone, but after the break, we're going to hear from Ganado head coach James Hart about how he feels about this moment. We'll be right back. Crossroads, it is officially that time. We've got here to early August, and we're at the start here of football two-a-days across the whole state of Texas. In a matter of moments, we're going to hear from the Tidehaven Tigers about how they are looking there for the 2025 season. But first, we're going to pivot over to 3A Division I and talk. Keep going with our Friday night previews with the Hallettsville Brahmas. And the Brahmas last season wasn't what they wanted. They were 3-8 under Levi Montgomery, the head coach. They started 2-0 for the season, but they're going to hope that their top athlete quarterback to start for, McCall Bakuda, could be that guy to watch out for this season. But their defense has got a lot of leadership back returning. They got linebacker Colt Edmonds returning, and Aiden Drew's out as well. So the Brahmas are currently right now preseason ranked number 4 there by Dave Campbell's Texas High School football. So they're hoping they can maybe change the eyes there of Dave Campbell's there. They're opening the season against a top team, the Shiner Comanches. Remember, they were the runners up there in the 2A Division II state state championship, losing to the Munster Hornets. So see if they can kind of change that up going to August 29th. They'll be at Hallettsville starting at 7:30 p.m. Now, like I mentioned, from the Brahmas over to El Maine, where they began multiple two-a-day practice coverage with the Tidehaven Tigers, and most of their stars returning here going into this season. Also, feel a little momentum going as well after they won the state 7-on-7 tournament out there in College Station earlier this year. And so earlier today, we caught up with former Athlete of the Week and wide receiver DB Bryce Sleva about how this team is feeling going into the season, what he's improved from the state 7-on-7 tournament.
I mean, most thing is I feel like we're going to have a good year. We're going to make a run for sure. We got a good team, a couple young guys, but we're going to come along good, and I think we're going to have a good season. I think I definitely got, since 7-on-7, I got better as a leader, you know, trying to lead people, just trying to be better for everybody else.
Now, Sleva is going to be one of those top leaders this season for Tidehaven because, again, he's going to get the ball a lot there from Cale Russell this year. And, again, they're going to open up for Tidehaven versus Plasher Sharks in Travis Hoffer's home opener there on August 29th in Tidehaven. That game will start at 7:30 p.m. Now, continue your coverage from a fantastic celebration for the Ganado Maine softball team, who was honored for their outstanding achievements there, as our weekend sports anchor Ray Robinson covered most of the event, shared some of the highlights with you guys there last night. But just in their first year, the Maidens head coach Hart proudly led this team to their first ever state championship, a remarkable accomplishment for this team. Now, that's familiar with the 2A territory. You can expect the Maine's reign of dominance to continue there. And again, here we got to hear from Coach Hart.
First speeches we had this year, if you're not playing for a state championship, there's nothing else to play for in the state of Texas. And it doesn't matter if I would have stayed at my old school, went to new school, or came Ganado, that same speech is going to apply. You play to win a state championship. Not really knowing what the 2A circuit is going to hold. I mean, hearing the rumors of the Schulenbergs, the Weimers, and Shiners of the world with their traditions, you know, but living 17 miles from here, I've heard for the last 30 years of what Ganado offers and what it means to community. And
I was going to say, I love his there, again, still competitiveness that he has, even though they did win a state championship there for Coach Hart. But the Maidens, you know, they're going to feel that kind of momentum going into this year because, again, I officially proclaimed them as City of Champions, and I think that's going to propel them for football and softball here going into this season. And finally, how about Victoria ISD School District? They announced their full high school full sports schedules for football and volleyball for East and West. So just like all volleyball teams, West and East will open up their first scrimmages there this Friday, with East scrimmaging at Floresville, and West will be at Goliad there this Friday. Then first games will begin next Tuesday, August 12th, with East actually facing Goliad. So flip-flop, West is playing a scrimmage against Goliad, East is playing their first game against Goliad. And then the road, West will be at Cuero there on August 12th. Now for football, West is they're having their two-a-day starting tonight, and we're going to hear from them later tonight for 25 News Now at 10. But East, they start their training there next week, as they had spring training there going into this spring. So West has their first scrimmage versus Corpus Christi King, and that's going to be next week on August 15th, while East first scrimmage won't be till the 21st at Needville. So then the first games there for West will be at Lockhart August 29th, and the East will open up there at home versus Georgetown August 29th at Memorial Stadium. Like I mentioned, later tonight, I will hear their Victoria West first two-a-day practice for 25 News Now Sports at 10. And tomorrow, we're going to hear their Victoria East volleyball. We're going to hear how their team is looking going into the season. And that's going to do it here in sports. Don, Shawna, back to you.
Max, thank you, and we're back in a moment. The celebration is on at the National Zoo in Washington, D.C., and it's all about one panda. Tonight, a giant panda at Washington, D.C.'s Smithsonian National Zoo is celebrating his first birthday in the United States.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday to Bao Li. He's 4 years old now overall. Keepers presented him with his very own custom cake Monday morning, full of healthy, panda-friendly fruits and ingredients, which he really seemed to enjoy. Bao Li arrived in D.C. from China in October along with his potential future mate, Qing Bao. You can see more of the adorable animals on the National Zoo's giant panda cam. I didn't even know they had a panda cam.
There's a panda cam?
panda
At
cam?
the Smithsonian?
Okay.
Panda cam.
Okay, you're gonna have to peel me away from that.
Oh yeah, that is going to be a hit for a lot of people.
She is Miss Panda. I'm
Miss
telling you,
Panda?
she loves pandas.
I got an update here.
Yes,
we
sir.
got the latest. We still have a lot of people without power from this storm. We got 123 people in Calhoun without power. In Victoria, 117 from a storm that hit, what, noon?
At noon.
Yeah.
Exactly. 48 miles an hour was the peak wind at the airport, so it was a huff and a puff, but that's pretty much over with. The skies will settle down tonight. Tomorrow afternoon, we'll see a few little pop-ups, but not like today. Yeah, today's system actually began in Oklahoma last night and rolled all the way down into the crossroads and ended somewhere down south of Corpus Christi. So that was a wandering storm system. Tomorrow, some pop-ups and still a high of 95, and after that, it gets plain old sunny and hot.
And people will need that little sun to pick up all the limbs that got knocked down today. So that's one way of looking at it.
Yeah, the leaves just kind of started going everywhere.
Very breezy out there.
I think we have a storm. All right, thank you, Mac, and thanks for joining us.
We'll see you back here tonight for 25 News Now at 10. Until then, have a great evening.